This is GARIS Masculist MGTOW flyers. That is 2-3 page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW. Written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. This is flyer number 144, entitled MGTOWs Don't See the, in brackets, Jewish Bankster Big Picture. Description. This flyer expresses frustration that most MGTOWs are unaware that they're being manipulated by Jewish banksters to increase strife between the sexes, to distract attention away from what the Jewish banksters are planning, that is, the creation of the NWO, that's the New World Order, a Jewish bankster-ruled world government, and then to wipe out the Goy, that's us, the non-Jews, to fulfill the Talmudic prophecy. The Talmud is the religious Jews' main religious document. In fact, a series of documents. Talmudic prophecy that the Jewish bankster Frankist Satanists believe in. Flyer itself. MGTOWs don't see the, in brackets, Jewish bankster big picture. I get frustrated that so few MGTOWs are unaware that the biggest problem facing them and the masculists is not the fluffy feminists, nor the gender politicians who have made the gender laws, divorce laws, no para, etc., so toxic for men, but the hated Jewish bankster Frankist Satanists who have bribed all the politicians to do what the Jewish banksters want. This means that most MGTOWs are being manipulated the way these Jewish bankster Satanists want. They want to divide and conquer the Goy. The religious Jews have been using these tried and true techniques for 2,000 years, as they have used their superior evil intelligence to manipulate the stupid Goy, to keep them divided and fighting each other, which distracts the Goy from uniting to overthrow their Jewish bankster rulers. If you want evidence for this, look at the Jewish bankster founding and funding of the NAACP, that's the National Association for the Advancement of Coloured People, that is the Blacks Lib organization, which was designed to promote strife between blacks and whites, or the Jewish bankster push to open up immigration to the US of non-white, non-Europeans, to dilute the white WASP, W-A-S-P, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant majority, or the funding of the feminist movement in the late 60s by the Jewish Rockefeller Crypto Jews Foundation, designed to foster strife between the two sexes. These hated Jewish bankster Frankist Satanists, they're Satanists. Go and have a look on the internet. There's tons of stuff on this. Control the central banks, so they can issue as much money as they want out of thin air, so they can easily bribe all the politicians, thus destroying democracies. The politicians fear the Fed, that's the FED, Federal Reserve System, which is basically a private Jewish bank, because they know that anyone opposing it loses their next election, because the Fed just creates money out of thin air to heftily finance the election campaign of the rival of the incumbent politician who opposes him. Nearly all the politicians who opposed the creation of the Fed in 1913, that is, the passing of the Federal Reserve Act, lost their next election in this way. So, the politicians do not oppose the Fed, with the exception of Ron Paul, a lone maverick. These politicians include the gender politicians who have been bribed to give the hypocritical fluffy feminists what they want, that is, to have their cake and to eat it too, that is, to have equal rights with men, but not equal obligations with men, that is, the moral obligation to be FIPs, financially independent persons. So they want to stay on their fat parasitic asses and not have to bother becoming career competent by studying FIP major math sciences at high school and STEM majors at university and the professions, so that they can earn a good salary and be FIPs as adults. They want to remain parasites on men's money and continue to see men as cash machines. The gender politicians are definitely a problem for the masculists. They are not the root problem. The gender politicians are politicians, and the politicians are bought and controlled by the hated Jewish bankster Frankist Satanists, who hate the Goy, and are working towards the creation of the NWO, New World Order, to establish a world dictatorship with them in charge, and then to wipe out the Goy, to have the world to themselves. That's the Talmudic prophecy. That's what religious Jews believe in. This is their Frankist sect Judaist belief, that is, the Jewish Messiah will come when the world is wholly bad, will conquer the Goy, will rule the world from Jerusalem, and then wipe out the Goy. This is Talmudic and Torah policy. YouTube it. So, pushing against the gender politicians to menfair the gender laws will not work, because the hated Jewish banksters can print up as much money as they want out of thin air to bribe the gender politicians as much as is needed to keep them from not menfairing the gender laws. The only thing that will persuade the gender politicians will be the threat of assassination that I think will follow as the population really starts crashing in an undeniable way. So, what to do? How to get the gender politicians to menfair the gender laws, to give men gender justice? By removing the hated Jewish bankster Frankist Satanists who control them, who bribe them. These Jewish banksters are only a few hundred grey-haired old men who use their evil genius intelligence to manipulate the stupid Goy, to make them do what these Jewish bankster Satanists want. Have you ever wondered why these same hated Jewish bankster Satanists have near monopoly control of the media in the major countries? Look at the US, for example. Jews control the news outlets. The Rothschilds control Reuters and AP. Jews control the 6 major media companies. Jews control Hollywood. Jews control publishing. The neocons, who control America's foreign policy, are Jewish. It's a similar story in other major countries, the UK, France, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, etc. The US sends Israel $4 billion a year of US taxpayers' money to prop up a bankrupting Israel, and Germany $1 billion a year. Israel has no oil, but the Arabs do. So why isn't the US an ally of the Arabs and hostile to Israel for having stolen Palestine from the Palestinians? Because the US Congress is controlled by the Fed, by the hated Jewish bankster elite. To get gender justice for men, these hated Jewish banksters need to be sent to The Hague, to the International Criminal Court, and executed for their massive crimes against humanity. For example, indirectly killing over 200 million people in the 20th century, playing a major role in the engineering of the 2 world wars, bribing and threatening the major players, Hitler, Stalin, Roosevelt, Churchill, all Jews or partly Jews. Hitler was strongly thought to be a quarter Jewish, because his grandmother probably got pregnant from one of the Rothschilds when she was a maid in the household of the Venice. Not Venice. No, forget it. In Vienna. In Austria. I need to eat. All Jews or partly Jews. Roosevelt was Jewish, Churchill was Jewish, his mother was Jewish. Stalin, I'm ad-libbing now. Stalin's surname in Georgian, because he was a Georgian, meant son of a Jew. Yeah, all these things are just not widely known. Anyway, all Jews, or partly Jews, are so extremely profitable to them and kill off so many millions of the hated Goy, engineering economic depressions and then buying up bankrupted assets at pennies on the dollar, making debt slaves of us all with their paper currency, debt, note, Ponzi schemes. Their destruction of democracy is due to their bribing and controlling of the politicians, their inflation of the currency, destroying people's savings, assassination of 6 US presidents, 4 successfully, 2 almost, creating laws to ban criticism of them in the so-called hate speech laws, etc. Anyone who's informed of their massive crimes against humanity learns to hate them, including ordinary Jews, who have been as much abused by these Jewish Frankist banksters just as much as the Goy, e.g. they controlled Hitler, funding him in 1923 and 1933, so that he would prosecute the Jews to force them to migrate from Europe to Palestine, the dream of the Rothschilds, the Zionists. The Jewish banksters and Hitler worked closely together to ship Jews to Palestine. That is the Havara, H-A-V-A-R-A, the Havara or transfer agreement. YouTube it, Havara agreement. So, MGTOW/Masculists need to organise and get rid of these Jewish bankster Satanist vermin before they totally succeed in destroying America and Europe and Japan with their debt slavery. The only thing that the Jewish banksters do not yet control in terms of idea expression is the internet, but they are working hard on that. There are provisions in the TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, trade agreement to take control of the internet. Now, I wrote this, a year or 2 back. Thank God Trump killed the TPP. Thank God. Once the dollar crashes and the US standard of living falls to third world levels, people like me living in the US will be put into FEMA FEMA, what's that? Federal Emergency something administration. Emergency measures? Not sure. Concentration camps, 800 of them in the US, and executed. The US will undergo the same kind of Holocaust that the Jewish communists committed on the white Christian Russians after their Jewish putsch, aka, also known as, the Russian Revolution of 1917, killing 66 million of them, says the famous author Solzhenitsyn in his book, suppressed in the English-speaking countries, Die Juden in der Sowjetunion. Now remember I speak German and French, which means the Jews in the Soviet Union. Obama is a puppet of the Jewish banksters who signs executive orders to create a US police state. When the dollar crashes and all hell breaks loose, the Jewish bankster-controlled US government will then create a police state and try to confiscate guns from the American people. But there are more guns in the US than Americans, so there will be civil war. Millions will be killed. I'm hoping the Jewish banksters will flee or be pogromed, allowing the US to bounce back with an economic miracle, free from the Jewish bankster paper currency, debt note Ponzi scheme, issuing its own free currency and creating a new politics with honest politicians, including gender politicians, who then manfare the gender laws. But we still live in a world where the hated Jewish banksters own the central banks and hence have the enormous power to issue the currency, and hence can bribe anyone the way they want. These vermin need to be removed, so MGTOWs/Masculists can play a part in doing this by spreading knowledge, getting educated, and then expressing their hatred at the massive crimes against humanity committed by these hated Jewish bankster Frankist Satanists. Now, why am I saying Frankists? Because they're followers of Jacob Frank, who taught Satanism effectively. When some Jewish Frankist Satanist comes on the stage, he should be booed off and made to feel the strength of the hatred against him by the audience, who have become informed of the crimes against humanity of these Satanists. Literally Satanists. That is their Frankist religion. So MGTOWs need to educate themselves about these hated Jewish bankster Frankist Satanists and learn to hate them, then push to drive them out of power, and to The Hague to see them prosecuted and executed, which is what they deserve. They truly hate us and are planning to wipe out the Goy. So we Goy need to protect ourselves and get rid of them. Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. YouTube channel name de GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW, Flyers. Ciao.